In this lesson of the tutorial, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about developing a huge a huge library of assets, so that instead of having to, let's say, remodel everything for any model that you create in the future, and it's basically learning to break apart your models and break them down in terms of being able to reuse geometry. As you can see, this is Bender. He's a pretty specific character model. There's really nothing here that I would say that I could honestly reuse for another character, except for maybe the eyes. But even that, it's probably not going to work, because you can see that there's really no indentation here for the pupil and for the cornea. Maybe the teeth, but I mean, the teeth themselves are a pretty specific shape, so honestly he probably wouldn't get reused in terms of anything on his body, but he might. So let's say in the future that you create something else that you need to model, and it's very similar to what you've already created with this character. So I would basically just put him, or put his pieces into a huge asset and library folder that then I could go ahead and reuse, because it doesn't make any sense if you've modeled something to have to remodel it. So it's just basically easier to go ahead and reuse it rather than remodel it. With the Pyro here, he's probably more of a better example, because some of the things here I've actually gone ahead and reused on other characters, like the suspenders clip here. The ammo pouches I've gone and reused. The tear gas containers I have gone and reused. I think the clips here I've gone ahead and reused. These back pieces here I've gone ahead and reused. So it's good to keep organized. So what I'm basically saying is, if you're gonna have to model a character that has a lot of the same pieces that an earlier character has, it's better to go ahead and reuse those things rather than remodel them. So all you would really need to do is just create a folder, and then folders inside of a folder to basically keep them organized. If you're using a 3D application like Maya, like Max XSI, or Cinema 4D, just export as OBJ files, and then if you have to reuse it, just go ahead and bring those back into your primary 3D applications, so that you actually don't have to remodel them. This is a little bit stretched, so we'll go ahead and close that one. This guy here, I did go ahead and reuse the eye. Since he was a fairly basic character, there really wasn't much in terms of having to reuse models, and the shapes fairly simple. But I did go ahead and reuse the eye and reuse teeth that I had from an earlier project. For this guy, I've reused the hands. Hands are very important, because hands are one of those things that's going to take a little bit of extra time to go ahead and remodel or model new ones. Unless the hands are quite specific to the character, then there's really no sense to go ahead and remodel them. The shoes here are from a previous project as well. And as you can see, the hands here and the hands here are somewhat similar. So what I did was basically just reuse them and morph them inside of ZBrush. The eyes here I did reuse. You can't really see the inside of his mouth, but the teeth are the same here as they are here and as they are here. The belt is a reuse. The button shape is a reuse. The buckle itself is a reuse. So really all I modeled was basically the shirt, the pens, the tie, the pants, and the shoes, and the head, and some of the watch. Here this was quite specific for what I was doing at the time. And some reuses here, obviously the pockets here are the same as they are, on the Pyro. It's just the shapes have been changed a little bit and scaled. The belt buckle here is pretty much the same. I just I think it's the same. No, it's not the same there. It's the same here. It's just I filled in this hole for the belt buckle. So a lot of this is, and a lot of modeling is just reusing your models this way that you're pretty efficient and that you can cut your time down basically in half. Because like I said, and keep iterating, it's easier to reuse models rather than remake them, because if you have to remake them, that's just extra time that you have to go ahead and spend modeling. And if you can cut your time modeling in half, then I would suggest do it. And the best way to go ahead and make a huge library of assets is make sure that you finish the current character, and then break apart the general pieces that you think that you're going to have to reuse later on down the line. So it's usually the hands, usually the feet, sometimes the pants. The belts are typically the same shape, so you would just go ahead and reuse those. The belt loops are pretty much one specific shape, so they tend to get reused a lot. Whether it's ammo pouches and anything else, they all tend to get reused rather than remodeled.